Just let me know when to start, right?
I will. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, Swarup, you put all the safeguard in place?
No.
Yeah, please do that. Go into the security and do everything. And participant should only
I
will be. Hey,
started
Swarup,
the
you
live
put all the
streaming.
safeguard in place? Yep, make me the co-host also so that I can at least, okay, I'm co-host. So let me see the participant can chat. So participants can only chat with the co-host and the host. That is what the setting we have to make, and another security also.
Yeah, I started the live on YouTube.
Okay, great. Then nobody should share their videos or the audios. That is, you should take them. I mean, that option. Anybody no, other than co-host and host, nobody should be able to share their videos or anything. I believe that option is somewhere, correct? Enable waiting room. Okay. So I have enabled the waiting room. So everybody, someone has to keep the track of that one. Venkat, can you please keep track of the waiting room?
I can also keep track of that, Sanjay sir.
Okay. No, since you will be hosting, you have to keep track of anything. Yeah,
okay. I can do the admits, okay?
Yeah, perfect. Thanks.
No problem. But I'm also driving to the airport, okay?
Oh, is it? Okay.
I have
Okay.
enough time. It's okay. I think we'll have enough time. Yeah.
Where is the option? Swarup, did you see the option where we can basically stop anyone sharing their videos or audios other than the host and co-host and host?
No, it was Sanjay ji already the main settings only. It is changed the last
It
time.
is changed. Okay, perfect.
Hemant already did it. The main settings only. So
okay, perfect. Okay,
yeah,
then I think we should be good.
Yeah, that is the right way to do it. Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
I'm trying to set up for the chat also. Chat also should go to only host and the co-host. That's all. If you go to the chat there, you get the option, check whether you get, because since I have not signed in, that's why I'm not getting that option, I believe. Swarup, if simultaneously we can start recording also on the cloud, that will be good idea. Record on the cloud, that I can do. Okay, so Spriya, you can start now.
Okay. Milind sir, are you ready?
Yes, thank you. I'm there.
Sure. Okay. Second.
Hi, I can see Vishal. Hi, Vishal.
Okay. Good morning, everyone.
Hey, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Shall I?
Please go ahead. Yeah, thank you.
Good morning, everyone. We are delighted to have you to join us for a special lecture series dedicated to honoring the life of and legacy of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. About this lecture series, in a commemoration of Dr. Ambedkar's invaluable contribution, Boston Study Group have curated a series of lectures that explore various aspects of his life, work, and ideology. Our esteemed speakers at Ambedkar Lecture Series will delve into topics such as caste annihilation, constitutional rights, gender equality, education, economic justice, and Dalit empowerment, shedding light on the relevance of Dr. Ambedkar's teachings in today's context. Boston Study Group is a non-profit organization registered with IRS under 501c3 based in the New England area, USA, We are an Ambedkarite organization dedicated to creating a just and equitable society. We organize study groups, monthly meetings, lecture series, and other activities in Boston area to support our mission. Our members include individuals, families, students, scholars, academics, and workers who share our vision of equality and upliftment. We focus on creating support structure and working with students from historically marginalized backgrounds. We are inspired by figures who have worked for human welfare, from Buddha and Sant Ravidas to Savitribai to Jyoti Rao Phule, Periyar, and of course, Dr. Ambedkar. Today's speaker, Dr. Milind Awhad, has dedicated over 2 decades of study of caste studies and contemporary Dalit writing. His pioneering work on Anabhau Sathe delves into the intersection of intellectual traditions that have influenced labor politics and the anti-caste movement in Maharashtra. In his doctoral research, Awhad closely examined Dalit writings through the lenses of aesthetics, philosophy, and politics of representation, offering a nuanced critique of Dalit aesthetics that highlights the configuration of everyday culture and Dalit life world. Currently, Milind Awhad serves as a professor and chairperson at the Center for English Studies at Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. His active involvement in various Dalit civil rights organizations underscore his commitment to social justice and advocacy within and beyond academic circles. Very warm welcome to you, sir. As we have a speaker guest and we will be involving in learning valuable information, it's going to last for 30 minutes, followed by 40 to 45 minutes of question and answer round. And we usually try to wrap up this by 11:30 EST. And as we proceed with engaging discussions, I kindly request everyone to maintain respectful towards one another, and especially when asking questions. While we encourage open dialogue and diverse perspective, we also ask that question and comments remain irrelevant to the topic at hand and expressed in constructive manner. So without further ado, I would request Milind sir to take away.
Thank you, Priya Bansode, for such a nice introduction. First of all, I thank to Mr. Sanjay and Boston Study Group for. Am I audible? My voice is yes, yeah. Boston Study Group. This is one of the important initiative, as you introduced and talked about, to internationalize caste and internationalize caste issues in wider platform on various avenues, national, international avenues. So I think it's great. It's one of the important opportunity to interact on Boston, interact with you on Boston Study Group. So thank you all for this opportunity. I think I will begin with my understanding of post-Ambedkarite Dalit movement in India, that too particularly in Maharashtra. I will be actually talking about Dalit movement, Dalit mobilization, with the existing textual critique, textual tradition, as well as my own fieldwork observation. So I will be referring a couple of examples which is visible or observed during my fieldwork as a activist, as a academic. And probably this example and your interaction can lead me to think about the issues which I have been thinking about. So, in my opinion, I think Dalit mobilization, post-Ambedkarite Dalit mobilization, it's seen in a couple of domains. So, religious domain is one of the important domain. Social domain is another domain. Religious, social, political, religious, cultural, social, political, then intellectual, artistic, or intellectual and intellectual domain, and civil society domain or civil society activism. So I do see these are couple of parallels in existing Dalit activism. Particularly if you see the Ambedkar's caste critique in his early seminal work such as Genesis of Caste, Annihilation of Caste, or essentially Annihilation of Caste, or so this work can provide us Dr. Ambedkar's idea of caste and embodied uh, structural composition of caste in as according to him, as he actually articulated that argued that caste is caste is uh, 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 okay. Uh, uh, Caste is basically based on the caste is social composition which is attributed to religious and cultural institutions such as religion and culture. So basically his critique of Hinduism is coming from his idea of social composition attributed to religious and culture. So I'm just taking cue from his argument and trying to talk about Ambedkar's caste critique, where he actually talked about caste and labor. So labor, which is polluted or humiliated labor, in barter system or in caste society, is basically in order to annihilate caste, one need to annihilate labor. So liberation of caste or annihilation of caste needs to annihilate labor or annihilate labor, or there is need to liberate the labor which is associated with ex untouchable or excommunicated caste. So basically, Dr. Ambedkar's caste critique can be seen in his this annihilation of caste and genesis of caste, where he is actually talking about caste and gender. Annihilation of caste is actually talking about social reformation and political reformation. What is how political reformation of contemporary political parties and mainstream parties were responding to social reformation. What is the limit of existing social reformation and the limit of addressing caste issue through existing social reformers or caste elites and social reformers and political parties such as Congress and caste elite political leadership. So basically, this is one set of Dr. Ambedkar's writing. Another set of Dr. Ambedkar's writing is writing on finance, writing on land, writing on basically economic thought, where he is actually talking about labor, he's talking about finance, he's talking about surplus labor, taxation, and so on. So this is one of the domain of his writing. Another domain of his writing is basically minority and state. Is one of the important work, which is almost like a semi-constitution, which is about procedural justice to marginal SC, ST, and marginal social groups in India, and affirmative action policy or possible reservation or possible procedural possibilities which can be included in Indian Constitution. It's seen in state and minority. So these are, and then we can actually see his, another corpus, which is basically newspaper, Janta, Prabuddha Bharat, and other his speeches and writing, which was actually work which was responding to circumstantial issues, contemporary political social situation. So this actually writing can lead us to see that how Dr. Ambedkar's thought and his ideas are seen in these various domains. So in social domain, in my thought, we have two prevalent activism which can be seen in two domains. So political domain, which we can actually see from Scheduled Caste Federation, which was actually formed or started by Dr. Ambedkar, and then later on RPI, which was actually conceptualized by Ambedkar. And generally, RPI activists would say that RPI is actually the party party which was in existence of Dr. Ambedkar's later. So RPI, which was later, after Ambedkar's death, the formation of RPI came on the conceptualization of Dr. Ambedkar. So RPI is one of the important example of political representation or political activism, which we can see it in Maharashtra, and that was there in North also in post Ambedkar time. So RPI later on in 80s, 90s, we can see Bahujan Samaj Party, BSP, whose electoral performance and political participation was successful, and BSP is one of the example of successful political mobilization of Dalit activism or Ambedkarite activism. So RPI initially, which started as independent political party, but later on it was in cohesion or in alliance with Congress for a couple of decades. Then later on it fragmented in various groups. This is one. We have BSP, which actually performed well, started with Kanshiram Sahab, and then later on Mayawati ji, Behan Mayawati, is still actually one of the iconic figure of political representation in India. So this is one. And then we have various local political organization, which is actually, active, asserting Ambedkarite, fully Ambedkarite politics, and articulating or responding or asserting political right or political representation or aiming for political participation in various areas. So few of them are known because of their electoral performance, because of their visibility in social media or in popular media. So like Chandrasekhar is one of the example where his electoral performance is not yet proved, but he himself as an iconic figure, which is now discussed and known in the larger sorry, I'm getting this call, which is known in the larger mainstream media. So Chandrasekhar, then Dalit Panther movement in Tamil Nadu. So these are few leadership, which we can see it as an independent political representation or activism of Dalit movement or Dalit mobilization. Then we have religious domain. So particularly in post-conversion, Dr. Ambedkar's conversion in conversion from Hinduism to Buddhism in 1957 in Nagpur actually gave new cultural phenomena, which was actually Dalit masses who were stigmatized because of their cultural identity, ghettoized because of their social cultural identity, and the social cultural space which was allocated to excommunicated or untouchable caste in caste society. So basically, post conversion, we do see that particularly in Maharashtra and other parts of the country, excommunicated groups or untouchable groups were getting translated into new cultural group. So those who were following Hinduism was following Hinduism, and the prohibition of faith or privilege of faith was denied in the cultural and religious system in which they were, safeguarding as an baseline of as an base of Hinduism, because they were the foot soldiers of the religion, or they are the bottom of the religion. So those whose to those whose to whom there was denial of privilege, to whom there was denial of public presence in public presence in public spaces. There was denial of there was systematic, or there was humiliation in everyday life because of their cultural identities, were converted into Buddhism. So this conversion is just not the conversion of religion, but I would say that this conversion is actually conversion of faith, this conversion of common sense, conversion of culture. So this conversion has actually given new public and private to Dalits in religious domain. So Buddhism is one of the important domain in which Dalit masses, Dalit Adivasi Bahujans are asserting fully Ambedkarite ideology in religious domain. So there are various public events such as Dhamma Parishad, Dhyan Shibir, religious tourism, bureaucrats, those who are in elite services such as IAS, IPS, university professors, or elite Dalit Adivasi Bahujans are actually asserting their identity in religious domain. So their program or their assertion in religious domain can be seen with the program such as Buddhi, Dhamma Parishad, Dhyan Shibir, religious tourism, or this kind of programs are there. Vihar, constructing Vihar, doing Dhyan Shibir, or reiterating Tripitikas on Sunday. So this kind of activism is seen in religious domain. So this is one of the pattern of Dalit activism or fully Ambedkarite activism in post-Ambedkarite time. Then we have social movement. In this social movement, if you see basically post-Ambedkarite social mobilization, there are few pertinent issues of asmita and issues of economic right. So issues of asmita, which was actually this argument took place during Asmita Darshan and during Dalit Panther. The issue of asmita is important, or economic issues are important. So this dialogue took place during Dalit Panther movement, or this discussion or a long debate was discussed in Asmita Darshan led by Gangadhar Pantavane. So issue of Asmita, for instance, Marathwada Namantar movement, or renaming of Marathwada University, was actually the issue of Asmita. And this issue actually took place almost, people asserted, fought. There was massive contestation between Dalits and non-Dalits in rural part of the Maharashtra, particularly in Marathwada. So this issue was actually issue of Asmita. Whereas if you see the issue such as land right movement, which was led by Dada Saheb Gaikwad in 70s and later on 70s, 80s, and later on there is movement in Marathwada. Vishal Jamkar is there. I will not talk about it more, but movement which was actually started by Eknath Awhad, and movement of provoking encroachment, making them legal through legal, making them implication or pushing revenue governance to implicate legal entitlement on the encroacher's name. So this systematic activism is seen in the movement of Manaviya Hakka Abhiyan. So economic right or Dalit right issue is, land right issue is one of the important issue which actually led the movement of Dalit dignity. And I was talking with Vishal, where, Vishal is thinking and working on it, where issue of land right is actually issue of Dalit dignity or issue of Dalit livelihood. So these are few parallels when we actually talk about issues such as land right issue or issue of Asmita, such as Namantar movement issue. Then there was in Maharashtra there was EGS law, so Employment Guarantee Scheme. EGS was one of the important act and policy which was actually amended in Maharashtra before Narega. So most of the Dalit, Adivasi, Bahujan mobilization was actually there on the issue of EGS. Later on, we can see this mobilization in other parts of the country, led by various Dalit, Adivasi groups, and these groups are actually demanding the work, or there is guarantee of work, but there is no implementation of that law or that amendment. So people are asserting their right to get work. So such kind of issues are also seen in the center of Dalit mobilization, Adivasi mobilization. Then caste atrocity is one of the important issue, where we do see that people are actually atrocity is one of the important issue. And in my opinion, Dalit movement is historically trained to give responses on the issue of caste atrocity. So particularly Khairlanji is one of the issue, but if you take the example of Ambadas Saune issue, that time I was in school and I have seen that how this issue was tackled by Manaviya Hakka Abhiyan. Later on, Anupama Rao has written one chapter on that case. But that Dalit atrocity, which is discussed by various scholars, and Dalit atrocity is one of the important issue which was actually responded historically by Dalit mobilization in various parts of the country. So Dalit mobilization, atrocity is one of the important issue, which is circumstantial issue. So whenever there is atrocity, there is quick response, which is historically seen that Dalit mobilization is giving to Dalit mobilization. So when this atrocity issue take place, I do see that the issue of intra-caste, intra-caste is not seen in response to atrocity. So issue of atrocity is one of the issue which is taken up by Dalit mobilization historically and in contemporary time also. So this is one of the domain, and these are few issues which we can see that Dalits mobilization or Ambedkarite mobilization, which is historically asserting their intellectual and ideological position on these issues. Then we actually see the intellectual mobilization, which is actually taking place in the intellectual mobilization, which is taking place in the various universities. Now in last 20, 30 years, if you see the range of corpus which is coming on Phule, Ambedkar, anti-caste or caste issue, or work which is scholarly work which is done on Dalit movement is enormous. So it looks like now Dalit movement, Phule Ambedkarite thought is Phule Ambedkarite print public has emerged in contemporary time. So university campuses in India and globally are galvanized on the issue of caste. There is very deep understanding and pedagogic discussion going on the issue of caste. Ambedkarite perspective, Ambedkarite thought is one of the important method which is being used in contemporary scholarship. So this is one of the important example or activism. I would say this is also example of activism in contemporary time. Then publication, scholarly work, PhDs, books. So this the Dalit print public and Dalit scholarship on Phule Ambedkarite thought is one of the important activism which is seen in contemporary Dalit mobilization. So actually, it started with the initiative of BAMSEF. So BAMSEF is one of the important organization started in 80s. So BAMSEF actually started to discuss, read, circulate Dr. Ambedkar's reading and writings, and they are the one who actually circulated Dr. Ambedkar's reading, Ambedkar's book uh, through their network as an employee or network of BAMSEF. So in my opinion, the circulation of idea through text was initiated by BAMSEF, and later on now existing scholarship is actually initiating and responding or contemporarizing Dr. Ambedkar's work in various ways. So this is one of the important domain where we do see that scholarly inverse is actually responding to Dr. Ambedkar's reading, writing, and contextualizing it in the larger ideological philosophical domain. This is one. Now, I think this civil right activism is one of the important domain where we do see that Dalit NGOs, Dalit bureaucrats, Dalit nowadays CSR, a lot of students, I mean Dalit SC/ST OBC students are working in CSR. They are actually responding to caste issue, caste exclusion. We do see the attempts such as there are wherever there is fact atrocity in last 10-15 years, along with Morcha, fact-finding team would go. They will do some fact-finding work. They will submit those reports to various government offices. So this kind of activism, so Dalit civil right activism is, I think, one of the emerging domain which has emerged in last 15-20 years, and this domain has actually led the sensitization of caste in basically civil society domain, which is NGO, international organizations such as UN, ECOSOC, which is one of the department of UN. So these are few avenues where Dalit middle class, retired bureaucrats, or those who are in the system but can't work officially or otherwise, are advocating issues, giving certain kind of training to educated Dalit youths or educated Dalit civil society activism. Those who are actually working on the issue of such as special component plan. So there is systematic approach which has developed in the domain of Dalit civil society activism, which is actually responding to government bodies, international bodies, responding to funding, responding to bilateral organization, and this responses or this activism is bringing larger social and professional network with Dalit activists, Dalit civil society activists, as well as Dalit civil society organizations. So I think this is the larger domain of Dalit activism in contemporary time, and all of them do have certain kind of success. All of it does have certain kind of failure. For instance, whenever we talk about Dalit politics in Maharashtra, people talk about there is very discouraging situation in Maharashtra. But if you think about intellectual development, if you think about intellectual mobilization, cultural mobilization, probably Maharashtra is one of the important example. Like if you take the example of South, Dalit literature, or nowadays P. Ranjit is one of the important iconic figure, where he has actually developed the idea, the domain of Dalits in visuals, so Dalit cinema, Dalit documentaries. So this intellectual cultural mobilization is seen in Maharashtra, some parts of South India, whereas in North we do see very strong political mobilization. But when it comes to cultural or religious mobilization, we do see that there is some limit of or one can see the situation in compared to Maharashtra and South. It's different in North. So my point is that there is few example of success, or there is few achievement in each domain, and there are few milestones which are yet to catch or yet to touch. So this is the situation of Dalit assertion, and this assertion has developed various kinds of leadership, or the nature of Dalit activism, which is actually asserting Ambedkarism in everyday life, and contributing their incentives in respective domain, is the future of Dalit mobilization. I think this is something which I wanted to share with you. So I'll stop here, and if there are any questions, I will respond to those questions.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the wonderful speech. It was very insightful. So now we have a question and answer round, and to ensure that everyone has an opportunity to participate, within our allotted time, I kindly ask for your cooperation to keep this discussion very focused. And if the conversation begins to prolong, I may need to gently steer it back on track, or move forward to accommodate everyone's time. Thank you for understanding. And if you have any questions, please raise your hand, or you can also share it on a chat box. We have Satinath, who would like to ask a question. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hello. Jai Bhim, Namo Buddhaya.
Jai Bhim, Namo Buddhaya.
Thank you. Unfortunately, I joined a little late, and I only heard about various areas of activism and assertion and all of that. But at one point you mentioned something post-Ambedkarite activities. Why do you call it post-Ambedkarite? As if Ambedkarism is finished, and now we are in the post-Ambedkarite eon time. I mean, I couldn't understand the logic of calling it all of this as a post-Ambedkarite activities. Can you please explain? Thank you.
Thank you. So can we take set of question, or do you want me to respond to each question? How is it?
You can respond to one question at a time.
Right. So basically, my post hyphen Ambedkar is actually about period. So I'm referring, let's say 1960 post Ambedkarite. So not post Ambedkarite as an so I'm just referring period. So Dalit movement during Ambedkar's time, Dalit movement after Ambedkar. So I'm just referring time, nothing else.
No, but it seems to be wrong after Ambedkar passes away. All of the things that he advocated for, carrying out those activities, you call it as a post-Ambedkarite. I don't know if anybody else names these things as post and Ambedkarite activities. But I'm very uncomfortable by calling all these things as post Ambedkarite activities. These are all Ambedkarite thoughts, movements, activities, everything, right?
Yes. I'm sorry. I think there is some confusion. So these are Ambedkarite. This is Ambedkarite assertion. But when I'm saying post Ambedkarite, I'm just referring time. I'm not referring post ideology. So I'm just referring time. These are Ambedkarite. This is Ambedkarite assertion, but in post Ambedkarite time. So I can withdraw that if you're if you're uncomfortable. So then let's say Ambedkarite assertion.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Next, we have Sukhdev. Sukhdev, please go ahead. Thank you. I think you are on a mute. Looks like Sukhdev is not able to hear us, or there must be some technical issues. Do we have any more questions by anybody else? I have a question.
Yes.
How can international organizations and movements can contribute to Dalit emancipation's cause?
So there are, this is procedural question. So if you are making statement in UN, perhaps your statement in UN, ECOSOC, even General Council may have different kind of implication. So, for instance, like if someone is working or talking to World Bank, one can actually talk about, so these are, procedural and circumstantial questions. So there is no absolute response to it, but I think internationalizing caste and making sensitizing uh, international bodies on the issue of caste is definitely will definitely make them sensitive towards caste, towards the question of caste, so or issue of caste. So basically, I think, and this is one of the important attempt which civil society activism is doing, right? They are participating in various kinds of events. They are talking about various kinds of issues, sometimes atrocities, sometimes Dalit women's issues, sometimes denial of public amenities, sometimes issue of untouchability. There are various, there are various ways to discuss, to display, to make them aware about Dalit issues or issues of caste. So I think I think making them, giving them perspective and making them as an object of understanding of Dalit issue is one of the important attempts.
Thank you. We have a question in a chat box. JBIM Dr. Milind mentioned a lot of activities for social and cultural reformation happening around India. However, there is no Dalit in power after Mayawati. How long will it take to achieve the political power? This question is raised by Manish.
Yeah, so exactly. Now, whenever we talk about the RPI, let's say, people talk about fragmentation and there are jokes about it. But we had successful or have successful example of BSP. Now these questions, when, how, these are based on certain kind of hypothesis. So in North, for instance, Mayawati or BSP did quite well, but now it looks like they are not relationally doing good. But whereas there is some kind of political assertion is going on in Chennai or in Tamil Nadu. So so there is no particular answer to this question, but I will like to say that political political mobilization in few state, and that is my actually submission, that is what I'm arguing. So political mobilization of Ambedkarite ideology in North, it's successful, whereas in western part of the country, for instance, Gujarat or Maharashtra, it is not successful. So one can say there is no enough number, one can say there is enough mobilization, but there is no enough unity. Whereas in North, number is there, which is important in electoral, arithmetical calculation or electoral performance. So there are various ways to make the inquiry of this question. So when is not sure to me, but there is some example of success, there is some example of failure.
Thank you. Next, we have Vishal Jamkar. Vishal, please go ahead. You are muted. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, the host, it wasn't allowed. So thank you, Dr. Milind, for your lecture. And drawing from my field work, I'm currently based in Beed district in Maharashtra. I'm working in actually organization which Dr. Milind's father founded, and where the work is still ongoing about helping kind of the Dalits in this area, Dalits, not only Dalits, but Dalits and other marginalized communities to get hold on the land and also respond to the caste atrocities. So that has been a kind of a great learning experience. And drawing from that field experience, I would like to ask Dr. Milind, and I also would like to take up in this discussion, is do you think, like, maybe two questions. One is, do you think that when you have kind of explained these different ways of Dalit emancipation, do you think that different subcastes within Dalits have been kind of mobilizing these different means and ways of emancipation? Like, do you have any thoughts on that? And so right now we are only discussing on the Hindu fold, but if I may, could also draw from Professor Sonia Thomas, who's also present here, only works on Dalit Christian. So I don't know whether we have such different trajectories if you go beyond, like, Hindu fold or maybe Buddhist fold, right? So that's one question. And maybe related to that is, do you see that different kind of these movements working in tandem with each other, right? For example, if you say landlessness and caste atrocities are some of the central issues for rural Dalits even today, and I again draw from my experience, do you think that maybe do you see different means coming together, different ways coming together to address caste atrocities or landlessness? And what are your thoughts on that? And I could also invite Machindra Gawaleji, who has come from field. So if it is open to respond in Hindi, so that could also be another way. Yeah, thank you.
Yes. Yeah. So can I respond to? Yes. Can I? Yeah. Okay. So thank you, Vishal, for the for this caste subcaste issue. I was in the beginning I was thinking about Dr. Ambedkar's conception of graded inequality, when he actually he referred Dr. Ambedkar's conception of graded inequality refers to hierarchical structure of caste system where different castes are ranked one above the other based on their social status and purity. So initially, I actually took pause because I was thinking about it in the beginning of my lecture. So now this, politics of visible political visibility, political social invisibility of certain caste within Dalit caste is actually based on the historical trajectory of that caste. So, for instance, like in Maharashtra, Buddhist now, but former excommunicated castes such as uh, uh, quote unquote Mahar, which was actually the force of uh, Dr. Ambedkar's movement, right? They actually became the part of Dr. Ambedkar's movement, and whatever we see today is because of the historical reason. They participated in the movement. They actually, they actually led movement in various domains, and the visibility which we see now, or the success of today's Buddhist, particularly Mahar Buddhist, which we see in Maharashtra and other parts of the country, is there because of historical reason. Whereas there is, second largest scheduled caste such as Mang, because you were in the field and we were talking about it. Now, there are attempts, but because of, inability of becoming the part of Ambedkarite mobilization, there is no enough enough correspondence between political ideological between Mangs and Ambedkarite mobilization, which took place during Dr. Ambedkar and later on. So there are historical reasons. So I think this subcaste A, as Dr. Ambedkar said, that each caste is actually composed structure of the caste system. So each caste are ranked one above the other based on their social status and purity. So this each caste is composed in a way which will, antagonize to each other. So this is traditional. So Ambedkar's caste critique provides the understanding of traditional, traditional identity, which is attributed to religion, to culture, to cultural identity, which was actually rejected by Dr. Ambedkar. So, those who are actually victim of caste subcaste, because of they are actually victim of caste system. So this is one situation. Second situation, in my opinion, is there those who are actually, historically part of anti-caste movement, Ambedkarite movement, uh, possess the capacity of contestation in various ways on various avenues, made them visible because of education, because of struggle, because of mobilization. Those who are becoming part of Ambedkarite movement or anti-caste movement is making them visible now, and sometimes there is rift between these castes. So Mala Madiga rift is quite visible because of the classification issue. In Maharashtra, classification is there, but when it comes to political representation, non-Mahar castes are saying that we are not getting enough, whereas non-Dalits will choose non-Mahar castes because of there is also politics of independent leadership and dependent leadership. Like in Punjab, we do see the rift between Valmikis and other castes based on the issue of scheduled caste classification, reservation, which is inner reservation. Supreme Court had just, that order is yet to come, but Supreme Court actually, I mean, that I haven't read that. I mean, that order is not yet displayed, but whether scheduled caste is homogeneous, whether scheduled caste, because in 2009 judgment, there is verdict that scheduled caste is homogeneous, whereas this current discussion is going on that can this homogeneous category is possible to seen as an I mean, whether it is homogeneous or not is something which Supreme Court is discussing. So I'm just bringing this discussion in the context where this issue of caste subcaste is there, because of, in my opinion, because of their victim of caste system. Those who have rejected caste identity and becoming part of Ambedkarite mobilization movement, they are not yet reached at a level where leading Ambedkarite group can accommodate them or patronize them, or they are not enough able to, they are not enough confident that leading Ambedkarite or visible Ambedkarite groups are making them or bringing solidarity amongst them. So that anxiety or that rift or that conflict is seen in the everyday activism of respective state in respective state. So I think am I responding to what you, yeah? So I'm just thinking about this subcaste issue or caste subcaste issue at two levels. First, all of them are those who are following caste identities are actually following caste system, so they are victim of casteism. Those who have rejected caste identities and becoming fully Ambedkarite, following fully Ambedkarite thought, or being Ambedkarite, asserting caste issue or caste identity, is also victim of casteism, because Ambedkarite is collective identity. So those who are following ideology is actually becoming part of collective universe. So this is normative, but leading Ambedkarite groups need to need to create solidarity, or there is need to bring certain kind of correspondence between non-leading, non-visible, those who are not part of historically Ambedkarite mobilization, need to bring them or make them visible in larger domain of Ambedkarite activism. So I think these are few responses which I can think about.
Thank you so much. We have Sukhdev is still, I see that has raised hand. Sukhdev, if you would like to ask question, you can go ahead.
Thank you, Priyaji. Thank you. I am audible.
Yes.
हेलो डॉक्टर मिलिंद जी, मैं हिंदी में एक्सप्लेन करूंगा अपनी बात। तो मैं हिमाचल से हूं और एक दो इश्यूज हैं कि आज का जो दौर है।
Excuse me, can you please speak in English? Not everybody understands Hindi, please.
ओहो, is a problem.
Continue on Massachusetts 1A north for 1.5 miles.
Okay.
We
When I
can
think someone
translate
can
the question.
translate his Hindi into English if possible.
Let us speak in Hindi. We'll quickly translate. That's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
आप बात कीजिए आप. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, please go ahead.
ठीक है.
मैं हिमाचल से हूँ, तो एक दो आज के दौर में एक दो जो चिंताएं हैं, जो जैसा आपने कहा कि एक तो जो अस्मिता का दौर है, अभी भी जो सवाल था कि सब कास्ट में इशू है, तो हम भी यही मानते हैं कि आज का दौर अस्मिता से अस्तित्व की ओर का है। जो इश्यूज पूरे देश में है, लैंड का इशू है, लाइवलीहुड का इशू है, रिप्रेजेंटेशन का इशू है, तमाम जो डेवलपमेंट सेक्टर है, एक तो इस तरफ सोचना पड़ेगा हम लोगों को, और इस तरफ बढ़ना पड़ेगा इस पूरी लड़ाई को। हम भी देखते हैं जितने भी फोरम है, आज भी ये जो लिंक मिला, हमारा एक नेटवर्क है रिवाइटलाइजिंग रेन फेड एग्रीकल्चर नेटवर्क, तो संजय साबुत हैं, उन्होंने शेयर किया था। तो इन सारे फोरम में वो डिस्कोर्स नहीं होता है, हालांकि हम बार बार कहते हैं कि तो पब्लिक इन्वेस्टमेंट मोबिलाइज करना है, किसके लिए
Hello,
मोबिलाइज करना है।
I'm getting one call. I have to take this call. This is very important. I'll just take 1 minute, please.
Sure.
Hello.
हाँ जी, हाँ जी।
Hello.
Yes, you're audible.
हाँ, sorry, I'm so sorry. Okay. तो मुझे तो आपका प्रश्न भी समझा, और इसको मैं ट्रांसलेट भी कर सकता हूँ, या और बात करना है?
हाँ हाँ, मैं ये कह रहा था, एक तो ये इशू है कि तमाम जो सेक्टर हैं वहाँ अभी बात नहीं हो रही है। आपने सिविल सोसाइटी ग्रुप्स की बात करी, तो सिविल सोसाइटी ग्रुप्स में भी वो बड़ा साइलेंट है। मैं हिमालय में मूवमेंट चल रहा है क्लाइमेट जस्टिस का, तो हम कह रहे हैं कि अभी तो सोशल जस्टिस की लड़ाई अधूरी है, अभी इकोनॉमिक जस्टिस का एजेंडा अधूरा है। आप क्लाइमेट जस्टिस की बात कर रहे हैं, तो तमाम इशू सिमिलर चलने पड़ेंगे। और दूसरा जो एक पॉलिटिकल प्रोसेस है, जो नॉर्थ में आपने बीएसपी की बात करी, बामसेफ का बात करी, तो वो तो अभी बड़ा डायलेमा है पूरा, कि ये जो फॉर्मेशन हुई है आज के दौर में भी देखते हैं कि तमाम जो इकोनॉमिक इक्विटी का एजेंडा है वो अधूरा रह गया है। और
सुखदेव
उसके
जी,
अब
सुखदेव जी,
हाँ
आपका प्रश्न जो है जरा शॉर्ट में बोलिएगा, क्योंकि दूसरे लोग भी प्रश्न पूछ रहे हैं। तो एंड मिलिंद
ओके
जी, प्लीज ट्रांसलेट हिज क्वेश्चन इन इंग्लिश एंड देन यू प्लीज रिस्पॉन्ड।
ओके ओके, तो ये थोड़ा
थैंक
सा
यू।
इस पे भी देखना पड़ेगा कि पॉलिटिकल फॉर्मेशन कैसा है। ठीक है,
हाँ,
थैंक यू।
So basically, question is that Asmita is what? Asmita, Vishal Bhau, how to translate? What is Asmita is
Pride, you can say the pride.
pride. Pride, actually, pride, Dalit pride, right? So it's important, but issue of economic right or baseline issues are also important, right? So there is actually there are few attempts, those who are actually initiating or working on the baseline issues through civil society activism, or that kind of with that means. Uh, and बट स्टिल हाउ टू लेकिन आप बोल रहे थे सुखदेव जी की, क्योंकि आई फॉरगॉट सुखदेव जी आप क्या बोल रहे थे? सॉरी, माफ कीजिए। और कैन एनीवन ट्रांसलेट फॉर मी प्लीज, और फॉर सुखदेव जी? आई एम सो सॉरी, एक्चुअली आई मिस्ड इट व्हाट यू आर सेइंग। आई एम सो सॉरी फॉर इट।
सुखदेव जी, आपको एक बार फिर से रिपीट करना है आपका क्वेश्चन, ताकि मिलिंद
नहीं,
साहब।
ये नहीं, क्वेश्चन तो मेरे को है, लेकिन आप प्लीज ट्रांसलेट कर सकते हैं प्रिया जी मेरे लिए,
So,
प्लीज।
Milind ji, you can answer the question, so that should be okay.
Right. So basically, right. So basically, this issue of pride is definitely there, because of, and it's important issue because of, and we were talking about, me and Vishal Bhau was talking about that if you give choice to Dalits whether you want land or education, so people are saying education. So education is actually a tool of mobility. Now education is just not tool of mobility because of economic empowerment and salaried jobs, but that mobility is actually mobility of dignity. That mobility is mobility of pride. So those who are historically humiliated, historically stigmatized, for them, dignity and pride is essential. Uh, so therefore, dignity and pride is one of the dominant perspective in Dalit mobilization. But simultaneously, there are issues which is we were talking about, issues such as employment guarantee scheme, issues such as land right, issues such as access of government schemes, issues. For instance, accessing special component plan or budgetary allocation and provisions. So these real baseline issues such as atrocity and various kinds of social economic vulnerabilities, these are baseline issues which are important. So in Dalit mobilization, this how to say, issues of asmita, pride, dignity, these are important issues. These are dominant issues. But this dominance should not surpass the baseline issues. So now we do have very few examples of land right issues. So whenever we talk about land right issue, either we talk about left intervention or left-led government intervention or socialist intervention. But when we talk about land right issues, there are examples and very successful examples or assertion is going on, but the reception of land right issues in let's say middle class Dalit activism, in the domain of middle class Dalit activism, or in the domain of elite Dalit activism is very low or very passive. Whereas the cultural mobilization issue of pride is prominent issue in the domain of elite Dalit activism. So it shows that the baseline issues need to be the center of Dalit mobilization, Ambedkarite mobilization in the contemporary time, which Sukhdevji is also saying that we need to actually think about this issue as one of the important and core issue in Dalit mobilization.
Thank you. Thank you, Sukhdevji, for trying to ask the question. Sorry I couldn't be of much help, but I promise next time I can be much useful. We have a question in chat box. Is true Dalit emancipation possible without political power?
That is my point, actually. So even if, like Maharashtra, RPI is not successful, there is no, example of, there is no satisfied electoral performance of Republican Party of India. But there is very strong cultural, intellectual, impact which can be seen in Maharashtra. Educated masses, Dalit masses, are thinking differently. They are creative. They are making films. They are painter, making documentaries. Dalit Panther movement led Dalit literary movement. Now, this is also one of the avenue of emancipation. So that is my point. Political is there, but along with that, even if not electoral political success, there is success of cultural ideological mobilization. So we need to see this success or achievement as a success of Ambedkarite or Dalit movement, and that is my argument. So there are success of Ambedkarite Dalit movement, and there are not failure, but there is something which is yet to come with this mobilization. So political mobilization, apart from few parts of or few period of RPI politics and BSP and something in let's say Tamil Nadu, there are no prevalent examples of independent, autonomous, Ambedkarite, Dalit political mobilization or success. But success is seen in some other domain or in some other with some other activism. That is my actually argument. That is how I am seeing the achievement of Ambedkarite Dalit mobilization.
Thank you. Next question is also from the chat box. Could you reflect on the idea of Ambedkarite identity being synonymous with Neo-Buddhism or Buddhist identity and the parallel marginalization of Dalit Christian identity in Telugu states? Do you want me
Can I
to
read that question? Yeah, I'll just read that question. Okay, chat box. Could you reflect on idea of Ambedkarite identity being synonymous with New Buddhism or Buddhist identity and the parallel marginalization of Telugu states? Now, okay, synonymous. I think Dr. Ambedkar's assertion in religious domain is absolute transformation or example of counter revolution. So when we are saying Ambedkarite and Buddhism, I think it indicates the absolute actualization of Ambedkar's vision, in my opinion. Whereas those who are not actually the part of this actualization or the part of this historical trajectory are becoming part of it. So let's say I was talking with Vishal. There are various subcastes which are not Buddhist, which are not following Buddhism, but they are actually responding to the issue of caste atrocity. They are actually responding the issue of rejecting traditional caste identities and stigma. They're responding to the issue of hierarchization and and inferior cultural identities. So they are also becoming part of Ambedkarite mobilization. So there are historical stages where few groups are privileged because of the history of contestation or history of mobilization. Parallelly, other groups are also, becoming part of that process. So I don't see it is relational, but actually you know, it is process, right? It is process. So those who are in certain stage are aiming and aspiring for certain kind of recognition, right? So manual laborers are rejecting to their inferior identities, but retired IAS Dalit bureaucrat is asserting Buddhism and giving or asserting Buddhism and aspiring Buddhism with the spiritual notion. So these are completely different trajectories. So someone who is actually rejecting stigmatized identity, someone who is asserting Ambedkarism through Buddhist spirituality. So these are the conditions of mobilization. I hope I am making some sense here.
Thank you so much. We have a next question by Manish. Since independence, how do you see the Dalits progress in terms of education, poverty, social status, etc.? How many people were actually emancipated? Do you have any data or empirical evidence?
No, data I am not aware about it, but we do see that uh, um, uh, privileged states, privileged caste, privileged families are becoming more privileged. Underprivileged, caste, social groups, families are struggling to make them visible or to, get the access of education or possible uh, access of resources. So I don't have data. I mean, data is everywhere, but at the moment, I can't remember any statistics or data. There are many studies, I mean.
Thank you. I don't see any questions being asked in the chat box, and I do not see any hands raised also. So I think that is all we have for today. Thank you so much, Milind sir, for participating in today's session and providing us with such a knowledge and information. Before we end this session, I would like to announce about our Awaken digital magazine. We have a Boston Study Group has a digital magazine, and it is now publicly available. This magazine provides a platform for all the Ambedkarites in diaspora to share their stories, thoughts, views, and talents to enhance the Ambedkarite movement. So, if you would like to, go through the magazine, it is available on our website. You can also contact us. We have an email ID. It is contact us at bostonstudygroup.com. And if you have any questions or if you need any support, you can always reach us, and we would be happy to help you or support you or make you participate in our sessions. So thank you so much for everybody for your participation today, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, Priyaji, for initiating this discussion. Thank you, Boston Study Group, and Sanjayji for your invitation. And thank you all for listening me carefully and responding to my thoughts with your questions and responses. So thank you all, and warm Jai Bhim to all of you. Jai Bhim.